Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Flow of Life exploration. Today looks like it's a Jasmine and Georgia day. So we were just chatting and we thought since it's both of us and we were having this conversation, we thought we'd record it and share it with you afterwards. So Georgia, I got Mika coming on. So Georgia, let's let Mika in. Hey, Mika girl.
Hey,
How you doing?
I know.
good.
How are you?
Not bad. Pretty good. A little tired. Went to bed too late. Got up too early.
We all do that and then go, why didn't I just turn the telly off or put whatever down earlier?
Exactly. I know. I wanted to watch the first episode of this thing, and I didn't know it was going to be like. I thought it was going to be like, shorter, and it was, I think, like 2 hours. I don't know. It was long, like an hour and a half, and I was like, no.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I get into binge watching, and of course on Netflix it automatically loads the next episode.
Yes. I'm a binge watcher.
If my husband's sitting there, that he doesn't notice that one of them has finished and that it's loading the next one, and the fact that he'll be doing something and then all of a sudden halfway through the next one he'll go, is this another one? Oh, it might be. Lie through my back teeth, just in the hope. I could go through 4 episodes doing that.
Yeah, I've done that and maybe more. I don't know, but yeah, I've gone through. I've watched a whole season in like 2 or 3 days of something.
Snap! Because my husband, why don't you stretch it out? And I go, because I want to know now.
Yeah, and there is something that's really cool about getting into the flow of a story and being able, instead of waiting these little tiny segments, waiting a whole week, like you kind of loses the steam. And the thing about series is they have more time to go deeper into the character development, into the story than like a 2 hour or hour and a half movie. So you get this, deeper story, or it's like you get more sort of, you have this, relationship with the characters more, like, and sometimes it's really cathartic. Like you really relate in your own life to some of the circumstances, and you find yourself, or I find myself, like even moving through something through watching something. There is a magic there.
I'm watching a program at the moment called Vikings of Valhalla. And I watched 3 of them last night, and it's been really kind of suspenseful. So I don't actually want to watch just one. I want to watch 3 or 4. But I got to the point, I'm sitting in the chair watching it, and the tension in this program, my shoulders are going up like this, and I can feel the whole apprehension. Are they going to get this boat off this log in time before the ice comes down? And it was like just beautiful to experience all of that from a television show.
Yeah.
Because actually it's really easy to watch numb in kind of just that. But a good program, a bit like a good conversation, animates us.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I remember, and I mentioned this, I don't remember where it was, but on some call, I think I mentioned this once before, but I remember when my sister had passed and I had to handle her estate. This was in 2018. I had to handle her estate and then taking care of my mom's, affairs and business and things like that, and it was a lot. I was overwhelmed, and I had so much to do that I couldn't really, and my sister was like one of my very closest friends. So, and I had no time to actually go through the process of grieving from the loss of my sister and my good friend, because I had so much on my plate now that I had to handle from cross country. And finally, like well into it, I don't know, it was a year or more after her passing, a year and a half after her passing, I remember like, and I had seen this years ago, but renting the whole season of The Big C with Laura Linney. And she's like going through cancer, and she's like, I'm just going to live my life the way I want. I'm going to do what I want. And it was like she had this freedom, even though she was in this state. And her spirit also kind of reminded me of my sister, you know, and myself in a way of just sort of our, you know, courage and going out there and doing what we want. But anyway, watching that series gave me that opportunity to grieve. Like I laughed, I cried, I connected to the story in a way that it was cathartic. Like it was really my opportunity. And, you know, it had to happen like over a year after her passing, but it was, you know, just one of those ways in which, and I realized, I just watched it because I wanted to watch it, but I realized during it, like, this is what's happening. Like, that's why I needed to watch this now, is because it gave me that connection. Anyway.
Isn't that beautiful? Because the thing behind that is, did you choose that moment? Something wants kindness for us in the moment.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully designed, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was the perfect time. You know, it was like that time in which I still had things to do with what those things I was handling, but I was kind of, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. So in that, I could relax enough to allow myself that journey.
Mm. I love it when I'm in the middle of watching some shitty film, and there is the line that is just, oh my God, did they say something that deep in here that is so kind of out of context with the film, when there is maybe what we understand or how we look at with from a spiritual level, that you go, I wonder if the scriptwriter actually clocked what he was writing or what that person was saying at the moment, because it just blows you away in the moment of one of those films where you sit there and go, yeah, I could be brain dead watching this. And they seem like such a treasure.
Yeah.
Matsin was having some difficulty coming on.
She's still having some. Can you hear us? Well, we see you.
It was awful. You click join the room and nothing happens. There was nothing. And they said, you have to download it. I have the paid version of Zoom. I shouldn't have to do that. And it's the second meeting today that it does that.
Huh.
And then when you all appeared, it did something weird. You're all small.
I wish.
Well, maybe you need to reboot your computer.
That could be that, because I probably have 15 tabs. Yeah, that could be.
I have
sometimes,
17.
Sometimes a good reboot just, puts everything back in place.
Yeah.
In more ways than one.
Yes. There's a good body reboot, mind reboot, computer reboot.
Right, so I was up on Medium today, popped an article that was, I took 5 kilograms of magic mushrooms, and it was terrifying. Actually, I thought of you too. Not that, whatever, but actually just our previous conversation.
When did you take 5 kilograms of magic
I
mushrooms?
didn't. I did not take it. It was somebody who'd written an article about having taken
Okay.
4 kilograms previously and had a beautiful opening experience. And then the next time he thought, well, I'll take 5. And in the article, he says, you know, it did look a bit like a main course. And so he ate it with some chocolate. But he talked in this piece about a totally different experience from the point of view. He said, it was absolutely beautifully, perfectly timed for me because actually, looking back after, I can see how self-important I thought I was. And my ego was really big and really this, and, you know, I was really important. He said, and in this experience, he had, however long it was, where he was the only thing that existed. It was like everything, the world, his memories, everything had been white clear. He said, so I was the only thing in existence. He said, and when I came out of it, I went, it's horrible. It was so enlightening from the point of view that it was perfectly timed for him to go, oh, I am not the only thing on this planet. I am so unimportant. And it was just like, isn't it again fascinating how we get shown the right thing in exactly the right moment? He said, and it just changed everything from then on. Because I realized that was just so my ego playing out that I was important, and I actually wasn't. So that was a bit of a byline, but I thought of you two when I read it on the basis that we've had previous conversations. Don't go taking 5 kilos of magic mushrooms is not my recommendation to anyone, clearly. So how are you two? How are you, Martine?
I just came back from a Reiki and pranic healing session.
Mm. You don't share.
Say that again.
Maybe I should take some magic for mushrooms.
Jasmine and I were talking about just before, because we started to record this on the basis we didn't know if anyone would come or not. And I was actually talking about an insight. Linda Pettit is doing a masterclass a month. And it was really interesting. She was talking about food. And I was saying to Jasmine the fact that I had seen before the whole express freight that comes behind every thought and food. But I really hadn't seen that I don't have to do anything about those. And that kind of really opened up in the last day or so when I've gone to pick chocolate up or I've gone to make a cup of coffee, where it's been so much easier to go, do you have a cup of tea instead? Because it isn't about having to fix those thoughts or fix what I feel about food. And we all have so much thinking about food. And it's just been really interesting to see what that very slight shift of knowing it's something intellectually, but then just seeing it differently. Mm.
But at the core, the conversation about food is really just a side effect. It's a behavior. It's something that we do and have been doing forever in some cases. And we basically are just because there's a problem with us, right? It's like the conversation about food and, you know, how much we should have and how much we shouldn't have and all of that is just like, it's just something that we do because we think that there's a problem with the way that our body actually looks like. Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy, love. Long time no see. I know, Kathy, you weren't on Linda's masterclass on this Saturday, were you? Or were you?
No, I wasn't. No.
There was a lady on there that was talking about the fact that she would describe this hollow feeling of hunger. And actually, the fact that hollow feeling of hunger more often than not was created from a thought, as opposed to getting quiet enough to listen to, actually, am I hungry? Or am I just looking for something to fill?
Yeah, I was thinking when you said that, like, is it coming from a thought? Is it coming from an emotion? Is it coming from a need?
I think that that's where we get confused. I think that we don't know anymore. You know, like we don't know. I think that that's what I've been playing with, where I've been listening. Okay, I'm hungry right now. Am I really hungry? You know? So I've been listening to that. Okay, trying to decipher. Yeah, I'm going to say decipher because that's what it is. Like, is that really a biological need or is it another need? Can't find the other word, but is it a thought? You know, is it thought created? Is it feeling related?
There's a old NLP trick that you look down to your right and you ask yourself, am I really hungry? And it's not the same feeling. People think that their stomach is here. It's further down. Anyway, so am I really hungry? Yes or no? If no, well, what do I need? And if it's yes, you can look to your left and ask yourself, what will make me feel energized and filled in half an hour from now? Because it takes 20 minutes for the message to go from the stomach to the brain to say, hey, I'm full. That's why we need to eat slowly for the message to go up. And then you look up. I'm not visual, but for people that are maybe more visual, you look up and see what choices that you have that would make you feel and satisfied in half an hour, because you still have to prepare it, right? and then go from there. So this old NLP trick.
Well, of course, eye positions, if you're in a conversation, and I mean, how people read each other, I'm sure Kathy knows this from public speaking, is, you know, you will look in one direction to access one part of your memory, and you'll look in another direction to access another, and you'll look another way if you're lying your head off or whatever. I mean, it's really interesting, actually, sorry, I'm feeding the bird as we're talking because he wants to eat me. How it goes. So there is, you know, if you're a gambler, you talk about a tell, don't you? And I guess that's what the NLP is also about. You actually retrain yourself out of your tell.
Well, you know, It's interesting because my relationship with food goes back to the beginning of my consciousness around eating for a sense of feeling safe, feeling comfortable, feeling warm in myself, thinking, and using food as a medicinal part of my insecurities, and looking at that. And then, going through the management of myself around food for all those decades between Weight Watchers and OA and all the other ones, to think it was something for me to manage, and coming out on the other end. And the thing about it is, I come into the 3 principles that I come in as a woman in recovery of, over 4 decades. And I understand that saying no is a large part of my health, my mental health, my physical health, every part of my health. And so the idea that I have created different relationships with different products that I ingest really has to come from a sense of self-love. Now that's me. That's my story. That's my story, because I've been on the tail of the dog quite a bit, where I would eat and then go and work out. And, I used working out as a form of anorexia, and my self-worth was how I looked. So I know what it is to be on that tail of the dog. And I know that I don't have to go on the wag if I don't do the thing, right? If you don't do the thing that sets up for the other things, then you might do less things. It's like, that's how I quit. If I quit drinking, I might not get so drunk, and then I wouldn't have to clean up all the messes from my drunken behavior. And so it was, that's kind of what started the ball on that in 81. And through, I'm a big God thing, so I'll say that God did it. But through the reinforcement of my inner wisdom, it's just proven to be one of the best choices I can make. I also know, being a woman at 65 years old, that I have friends, dear friends, who are afraid of losing their life if they change their behavior, that they would lose the comfort of what they've known if they've changed their behavior. And I had this one friend in particular who once told me, beautiful, beautiful woman, vivacious, outgoing, committed to a relationship. And she said to me, I don't want to lose weight, because then men will just stare at my boobs, and that will make my husband mad. Now, what a fucking setup that is. What a fucking setup that is. She died of cancer. She died of cancer 10 years later. But I know other women who don't want to be seen. And so hiding under 60 pounds makes perfect sense. I'm much more comfortable in my cave, I'm much more comfortable this way. That's the knowledge. I'm much more comfortable this way. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to do anything that's going to create a different lifestyle for me. And so the food thing is that it's not one thing. It's not one thing. And I know that when I look at food for that sense of fullness, I love feeling fulfilled. And when I feel empty, I have to learn to sit with it, to ask myself, what is it I'm looking for? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's one handful of popcorn after another. And my simple little mantra that keeps me going in one direction is just do no harm, Kathy, do no harm. Do no harm to you, do no harm to others, just do no harm. And the wisdom surfaces somewhere along the way. So food is a huge place to gain compassion around. If I gain any insights at all around my relationship with food, it's come from Clarissa Pinkett, the mythology woman. And she has written such beautiful books around dangerous old women. And that's her trilogy, Dangerous Old Woman. But her best one is about her companion, her body, my companion. What would I want my best friend to have? And so, it's a soft spot for me. And I think it is for every woman. I think it's where we gather and, we shed the light that there's, I don't know, whatever you want it to be.
It is a trap to focus on the food, right? It's kind of it keeps you busy, right? It's going to keep you busy if you start looking at the food, what food should I eat? What food should I not hear? How many should I? How much exercise? But it's on top of something else.
Yeah.
It is, but I will tell you, when Linda Pettit told me, and I adore Linda, she's my spiritual coach. She said, here's where I go crazy, in debt and overweight. That's how I know that I'm looking outside of me, is I start eating and spending unconsciously. Linda told me, she goes, I am so happy to be 60 pounds lighter. These 1,200 calories a day have really worked in my benefit. The consciousness is not obsession. Being conscious is not being obsessed with it. And that's the part where I too started thinking, okay, let me gain consciousness around this. What is it for me to have 1,400 calories a day? And when do I choose to go unconscious around it? And so that consciousness around it has been an awakening for me.
I have problems with the calorie thing. Just FYI, I have an actual degree in nutrition. I have been a dietitian. And
what have you not been? I'm just saying. Go on.
And in my 20s, I probably have orthorexia. I was training 2-3 hours a day. I was going everywhere on my bike. I was very careful what I was eating. And then I came off of that workup. And I didn't go overboard on the other side, but I don't believe in the calories anymore, because I could have 10 calories of broccoli and 10 calories of chips, and it won't do the same thing on my body. Yeah, I think we forgot to follow our own wisdom. What do I need right now? Am I hungry or not? Am I replacing? I had way back when I was an intern in one hospital. There was this lady who said for her a spaghetti was equaling a man, because it was fulfilling something emotionally for her. Yeah, and I think those unless you have problems now, cancer or kidney problems, we have to be extremely restrictive. Other than that, or type 1 diabetic, other than that, if we just learn to follow our wisdom now, there's the raw food and vegan and vegetarian and plant-based and all those kind of things. It's easy. I saw people that were thriving, and people that were raw were just sick, just because it was not right for them. And we forget to follow our own wisdom sometimes.
I mean, I think it's on a really basic level. If we are eating something with angst, we are ingesting angst. And I think we've so often lost the ability to go, I'm blessed because I'm eating. And a really simple shift in consciousness can make a huge difference to how this physically responds to what we're taking in. And I guess...
Yes. Whoops, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, if we just had gratitude as opposed to eating gluten.
I did a food DNA test, whether it was hyped up or not, it didn't matter to me. But it had said that unrefined sugar and this was my thinking process, unrefined sugar, flour, and any grains lead to obesity. That's it. That was the line. It was a scientific thing, and because of the metabolism, da 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 da. So I said, okay, job done. That was 2010. And the idea that to ever eat refined sugar, it was never a thought again. It's just not a discussion. It's not a debate. It's kind of like red or white wine. None, thank you. Take the glass. It's like it's just not a debate. And it's not about self-will. It became about, maybe it was a piece of wisdom that I planted in me, but it was enough to say, okay, makes sense. You know, and to hear further scientific proof down the road that the pancreas of an alcoholic doesn't really process the physical aspect of alcoholics' pancreases that have gone through autopsies show that a lack of ability to process sugar is one of the things that adds to the physical addiction. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter, but I'll take it and I'll put that in my purse. I'll hold on to that. It makes sense to me. And why? I don't know. Then it leads to a healthier next few steps, just healthier next few steps. And Georgia, I have to tell you, what your cold water plunge did for my self-esteem was just amazing. Amazing. Your courage, your ability to be seen, your love of life and love of self and getting out there. Yeah, fuck yeah, that's me. That's where I'm going for the next 35 years. My sister said I should write a book and call it something or something. I said, no, I want to write it 90 and still dancing, 90 and still dancing. And so I feel the umption, the spirit move me in such a way to where I want to be in movement. And that's where I make some simple day-to-day decisions around. And it's all the other self-consciousness and overthinking. I can get bogged into it. I think it was very hard for me when I quit drinking because my body craved sugar so desperately. My pancreas, my liver, everything. I mean, I had gone from drinking all day long to drinking nothing. And then that kind of obsession led me into binging and purging. And then I needed a healthier lifestyle around that. And so I would go to binging and working out. And then I'd look at how I was being consumed by hours of mental overwhelm because of the food choices I was making. It was no different than the alcohol choices I was making. It's like, what would I be if I didn't start this gymnastics? So it's that part. Now that's what I own. In the 3 principles, everybody says, oh, wake up every day and it's a new day and hope you don't drink again. But if you do, and I'm sitting there going, if you've got a problem with alcohol, just don't drink, get to the other side of the problem. Don't get into the bottle. So that's, so I have for me, I don't dance around that line. That's just me. And the same thing with some of my food choices. I just can't let it be I wonder which way my mood will lead me today as to what I eat. It's like, no bread, thank you. No scones, thank you. No jelly, thank you. No red wine, thank you. So, yeah.
Usually behind addiction, there's 2 or 3 emotions. So if you stop drinking, those 2 or 3 emotions are still there. Driving, you just switch the crutch from alcohol to food.
But when you're not drinking, you get to see that you're switching the crutch. You see, that's the part when I hear academics speak about that, I just say bullshit on that because of course you deal with the shit. That's what you do. So do people who don't have alcoholism, but you don't see what's there until you quit being so messed up. You gotta end the party before you can start cleaning up the mess and realizing what you're doing. So there are 2 or 3 emotions, and they're human emotions. They're abandonment, they're humility. I mean, not humility, abandonment, humiliation. And it's mostly abandonment and humiliation are the 2 drivers. You're going to leave me if you really knew me. And I can't embarrass myself. If you knew what I was thinking, you wouldn't like me anymore. So both of them have to do with that. So, yeah.
It's fascinating because you write with Jules anyway. I'm doing muses. Are you doing muses?
I'm muses too, yeah.
Interesting, really interesting. Muses are archetypes. And of course, Carl Jung always talked about archetypes, but he talked about them from a psychological point of view, as opposed to, right back to Plato and whatever. They were energetic thought forms, I guess, is really what it is. But I fell into Carolyn Myss last week, who deals with archetypes, because I watched a recurrent emotion that drops in that I can't explain, that I can watch it playing out. And I've written a piece the night before going, please God, show me what this is. I need to understand this, because if I can sit and watch it play out, it can't be me. It has to be some form of, when I say me, the watcher, in other words. And anyway, she talks about we have 4 fundamental archetypes, which is saboteur, victim, child, and prostitute. And when saboteur came up, I just went, I have seen that run through the whole of life. I would call it, and in the piece the night before, I had called it my chopper off the nose, my own nose moments. It's that emotion where you will harm yourself. You will do something even though you know there is no positive benefit to it at all. And it's really interesting to, as you say, watch something that has actually played out the whole of your life, time and time and time again. And you don't see it. To be able to, I guess, be emotionally intelligent enough to stand back and go, okay, so what is this? Because this is
Am I the only one she's frozen on?
No.
Oh, I didn't know if it was me freezing or her freezing.
Georgia, come back to us.
You're frozen.
Yeah.
There she comes.
Oh,
there she comes.
she's coming back. There you go.
You're on mute now.
The Zoom gods today.
Yeah.
all that feeling is doing when it drops in is warning me that actually in advance I'm going to make a stupid cut off my nose email or a whatever before I actually do it. I don't even have to watch it play out. But really interesting to be able to go, oh, I've seen that the whole of life. I just haven't clicked what it is, because it's almost a pre-running system that just is there.
You know, this weekend, we memorialized my mother. We had her funeral for her. And she died on January 6th, and we buried her yesterday. We had her mass yesterday or Saturday. And so I've been spending a lot of time with my family of origin. And we've been doing that a lot. Jasmine and I walked through this a lot through my mother's decline, through her Alzheimer's as well. And I think we allowed each other our way of tending to our mother in the way that we were, rather than expectations. So I'm just so grateful for the principles through all this, because I've been able to see old family of origin stuff through a new pair of glasses and just pause through that process of saying, well, this is how she tends to mom. This is how she handles stress. And we were all there as she was dying. We were all there as we were putting together the service. We were all there. And the grace I had through the principles, and even the day she died, I was with my father and my little sister, and they have ways of doing things. And I knew my way was to go home, go get in the middle of your life and pull up a blanket and cry. And so the end all is, I was driving home yesterday after the services and spending time with my dad and everything. And I realized I blamed them a lot for me not feeling included in the way the family ran, right? I was the outcast. I was the troubled child. I had a huge story about how I was not enough. I never fit in. I was too loud. I was too this. They never understood me, right? Well, it comes to mind, and I get an insight yesterday. I've always been different, and there's no one to blame. It's my way. I internalize, I spiritualize, I unfold, and then I act. And my sisters and my dad, they had their own way. But when I was gracious enough to watch how it played, so all this time I had a story that I drank as a child because nobody understood me. I was never invited. Mama never liked me. Dad was always, a lot of storylines, whether they're true or not, doesn't matter. But what I see now, and I was talking to my boyfriend driving home, he says, Kathy, you internalize and go so deep with something. Nobody can go where you go when you take your stuff in. But we're all waiting for you when you come back out again. And I saw then that there was a preciousness to my uniqueness growing up, not a blame game. And it took whatever for me to drop the fact that I did have ADHD. I was a child alcoholic. I was physically but there was no one to blame. It's like, I guess that's how I processed my shit back then. And my sisters and I have 3 different accountings of growing up in the same household by the same parents within 3 years of each other. And all 3 of us have completely different stories of our childhood.
Yeah.
And that comes with the internal design of something that's more brilliant than mind, consciousness, and thought. I do believe that there's a unique divinity within all of us. That is, we're not making ourselves up as we go along. That's what I told Linda. It's like, I'm not a figment of my imagination. I was given this hard drive, and then I get to go and create a rule book on it now. And so it was so freeing to realize, they didn't do anything to me to make me like this. They did what they did because of me. But even then, I had a design within me that made me internalize things, whether it be food or thoughts. I took a lot of things in that I couldn't understand at the time, but I'm older now and I can understand it. It was such a gift. Even my 3, it's bizarre. If you look on Facebook and see my 3 sisters, we look like 3 different people, and we're all from the same parents in the same pod in the same 50s. So,
but I think it's fascinating that, you've got your little grandchild, is you think before, when you're pregnant, you imagine you're going to what I did, that I was going to get this blank canvas that arrived in my arms. And they just aren't. There seem to be fundamental traits that often apply, but each one beyond that has definitely just had their own flavour, and they've come in with it. Because, we talk about, and Bill will talk about, give me the child up to 7 and I'll make you the man. Because that is the age at which they're taking on. But go to a toddler, there is a fundamental flavour there from day one. There is never a blank canvas.
Indy, I haven't read the books either. I remember when one of my kids was, make believe they have a choice now. So, did you want to go upstairs in my arms or holding my hand? And my son was probably around 3, looked at me and says, neither. I don't want to go for a nap. No. So, yeah.
He got it.
Yeah, he hadn't read the books, no, that make believe they have a choice, right? No, he hadn't read the book, no, he had his own. If somebody must have spliced a gene, a lawyer gene into them. No, it's not different.
I love the art of being human. I do. I love the discovery process. I think that if the 3 principles have given me anything, it's just a looser way to hold current reality, to see that the past doesn't dictate my present or my future, but at the same time, it's all part of the flavor. So
there's something about just embracing the humanness of everyone. I mean, even in that, like, everybody does the best they can and the thinking they have at the time or consciousness level they have, whatever, just that alone. And it's, I started long before my discovery of the principles, just sort of taking people, my parents included, as just being another human trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
We put them on this, like, in this position that they're supposed to know everything and have it right and do everything right. And in reality, they're stumbling through like we are, So there's a compassion that I developed from that place. And there was also an embracing of every single thing I went through, every single challenge that I faced, everything I put myself through, or anybody else put me through, by me being in that circumstance, was a blessing because it was a part of my growth, of my path, of my hurdles, of my development, of who I am now. If I hadn't gone through all that, all those different things, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the challenging, the crazy, and there were plenty of all of that, it's all the richness. It's the gold that I have now in the work that I do.
On my way back here today on the radio, there was this guy said, no, growing up, you think your parents have all the answers? He says, and one day I reached the age that my parents had me. I didn't know a thing. I wonder, why was I listening to them?
Yeah.
I know the manual in the 50s was even a lot less than it is now. I mean,
and I was born in the early 50s. So exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Nobody gave our parents what to expect when you're expecting books. That's what I got in the 90s. And so it was very interesting. I want to ask, and I know I came in late and I don't know the protocol, but I would love to hear, this is something that's been really on my heart lately, what you ladies are doing to get out in the world and to get seen, heard, and recognized as valuable. And how's that going for you? I would just really like to hear that. One of the authors that I've been reconnected to is Lynn McTaggart. And Lynn McTaggart wrote a book years ago called The Field. And it just sent me on this course of understanding all that we don't know in life is the juice, all the energy. And she's a scientist. And she has this thing called Circle of 8, which is her intentions group. And I've listened to all her books, and it's just a lot more science than I want. I'm much more touchy-feely. But what I've come into is when I pray or hope well for others, I calibrate at a higher level. My energy level goes up. When I am less consumed with what I need to do to get my business started, and more is like, and even the simple act at night, when I can't sleep, I'll go, okay, wait a minute. Who needs prayers? Who needs prayers? Who needs, like, she doesn't call them prayers because she's a scientist. What intentions of healing can I send out in the world? What can I offer up? And what happens is the vehicle of the offering, the instrument of the offer becomes more galvanized in what it is that's being offered up. So she has these circle of eights. And I thought, do I have to pay $2,500 to join something that I know? Or do I look to see, are there other women who have intentionality, whether it be health, anything? What is the intention and how can we support it? Because she has scientific proof that kind of stuff changes the way people live their life. And so I just was up last night for 3 hours thinking I don't have enough people to pray for because I'm still up for 3 hours. So I just would love to know, just what are you doing? What's important to you and how you getting it out in the world and how's that going for you?
A couple of years ago, where I was part of a circle of weight, we didn't pay on whatever amount, so we just this lady from Denmark, she asked me, I'm starting this circle of weight, do you want to join? And there was a couple of people from Sweden. I think there was one Brit as well. And we were meeting about once a week. And we did that for about 6 months.
I ran a circle that were all, we met every week to start with, and then we actually moved it to every other week. And it was a beautiful, truly beautiful experience of connecting to each other and just making that time. And we did it where we focused on one of us in the circle. So some person would say, what they had gone on that they would like healing or intentionality about. And that connection through was just outstandingly amazing, what each of us picked for each other, what came up for each one of us that was relevant to the other. I mean, it eventually died out after about a year, but it was beautiful. That intentionality of giving space to give healing to another person as a group is truly beautiful.
So what are you up to? How's it going?
Well, I'm doing a lot of bikini wearing.
Yes, you are.
How many bikinis do you have? I mean, it's quite incredible.
No, I haven't got that many. Well, I've got to the point now, half the time, I'm not even in a bikini. I just sit in the pod up to here and just say, actually, I don't give a fuck anymore. I really don't. As long as I can see anything, I'm sure there will be people that have gone, is she wearing something? In fact, a couple of ladies did, and I went, no, I'm totally in the bath.
I've been like, she's freaking naked. Look at her go, man. That's what I've been saying.
But I think it's like anything, if you say, I have less thinking about my body now than I did before. And if someone's going to get arsey with me over seeing bare shoulders and a bare top without seeing my boobs, again, that's just, they'd see me on the beach.
Watch somebody else.
Yeah, there's something so freeing in that, like, which I think for me it has, it's come with age. That just like, I really don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's just freeness. It's being fully, being comfortable with myself and not, as we become less judgmental of our own selves, we care less what other people think. Yeah. So it starts at home. It starts in here.
Yeah, and the reverse of, go on.
No, go for it.
No. I was going to say, I will say that that the way we talk to ourselves is the way we touch our inner circle with our first thoughts too. And so we don't have to look too far to see what we're doing to ourselves. If the first thing that I'm thinking when I see somebody walking down is like, oh my gosh, look at that outfit. Why would she wear that? It's because my observer is turned into the amped up critic. So we all have an observer that can do whatever role. So the minute I know that I'm starting to dish it out, I realize it's because I'm feeling it on the inside. I don't always recognize the feeling first. I hear it in the way that I'm judging others. And that's what these two wonderful authors who wrote More Than a Body says is the number one thing that disassociates women from each other, is that they take their observer, turn it into a critic, and then they apply it to others so freely. And it's really a huge litmus test on how they're feeling about themselves. So, yeah.
It's interesting when you're talking a couple of things. When you're talking about food, right? Like, I mean, I went through various things. I remember being a vegetarian for 10 years and then one day craving a cheeseburger and went and ate it. And I felt great because I craved it. My body wanted it. I started just like really listening, like I did in my first year of college gain weight because I didn't like the food in the dorms. I kept eating ice cream and French fries and all the junk food and I put on 50 pounds, and I lost it like by counting calories and starting to work out. And, it was that time I became a vegetarian. Then I didn't want to be a vegetarian. And, I've gone through all kinds of things. And now I just sort of feel like I eat, I'll have everything. It doesn't matter, like I'm very open in terms of what I have, but it's like, okay, I have this sort of homeopathic view that I have, 85, maybe 90% of organic, fresh, healthy food that's not processed. And then the other, 15% or so, like I let myself have whatever, I don't care, junk food, whatever. And that's like, hey, we don't live in a pure environment. So I don't want to be too fragile because I have to be able to deal with, what I come against, environmentally. So that's my process with how I eat or drink or whatever, and it's, and then the other thing is like, I'm kind of in this mode of just being open and loving whatever is and saying yes to things. And that's been really interesting. And it's kind of like, even I had an exploratory conversation with somebody that it's like, I remember going through this thing, and some of you know this, that I was like, okay, well, I did astrology, but now I'm doing this transformative coaching, and maybe I don't want astrology. And then I said, no, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, you don't have to, you can do it all. You can even combine them in some ways. Like, because I was never into prediction. It was really much more soul-centered, evolutionary, like really seeing, in free will, and that we're in relationship with things, nothing's controlling us. So it was not that far out. So it was through somebody I'd done an astrology reading with, referred me on Facebook to somebody who was looking for a spiritual coach or counselor. So she goes, oh, she uses astrology as a guidepost. So I had this exploratory conversation with the woman, and I was like, she can say yes, she can say no. It's okay. Like, it's just cool. I'm just saying yes to the conversation, And then I kind of said, well, I don't really use it as a guidepost in my coaching, but I do both, So here's like, let's just see if it's a good match. And just that openness and being in love with whatever happened. And as it turns out, she did say yes, and we are going to do it, which was really cool, but it's thank you. And, so yeah, there's like, I'm kind of been in that mode of whatever it is, and say yes.
I'm about live the life that you want. Like, and if you don't know what it is, just, you want something right now, do it now, and then see was that what you wanted? Like, I mean, we can't predict. I think we can only listen. We can only, oh, this is what I want to do now, and then do it and say, yeah, okay, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, and really just see it without judging yourself. I mean, Kathy, I'm all about, what do you want to do right now? Let's do it right now. And let's run with it. I mean, if you look at everything that we've done in the flow of life, everything that I've done in my business, and everything that I can see for each and every single one of you, you have this desire to do something and you just go do it. And then don't wait until you have the perfect path. Just do it. The path will open up as you're in movement. You're going to see it appear. You're going to know which way to turn, just like when you're driving at night and you've got the headlights, you can see and up until a certain path, and then oh there's a curve here. Oh, okay, you gotta turn. That's what I see. That's how I see life.
Yeah. And Martine, are you going to? Don't leave, Martine, because I'll tell you real quick. I know that you still want to do your desert walks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
I'm leaving because I'm doing a retreat course right now, how to plan and do retreats.
Good.
That's where you're going now?
So I'm going to keep that in my intentions, and because I'll have to tell you, I'm loving this, Jasmine and Mika and Martine. I wanted to, so I'm going to take you guys into my heart, because I know you've made a huge difference. And Martine, I keep seeing that. I think we should do a stargazing thing sometime with Mika too. So we go out there and into the desert on a night that we know that all the alignments are going to be happening. So yeah, go and come back and tell us more about that. But I love this. And I know that that's exactly what you're like. Jasmine, when I'm working with you, I multiply in my insights. So by Martine, I multiply in insights. When I see Georgia doing her writing, sharing her love, doing all that, I know that my vision of standing and delivering is intuitive and impactful. And I'll tell you, Mika, I love my relationship with Linda Pettit, and because it's intuitively based. And she told me to quit apologizing for being so woo-woo. I mean, I am a mystic, Catholic, pragmatic, capitalistic, anything you want to say. I've got I do cards, I do readings, I do everything. I pull a deck, I do my new moon reading, my full moon reading, I follow Colette Baron Reid. I love the things I cannot see and feel. And I love when people who want to take what they want to feel and put love in overalls and send it out to work. And that's, and that's really what unapologetically, get out there and pray, as well as send people to you. I mean, Jasmine, can I send you wayward realtors who need to get their social media voice out there, not just coaches, and I too, Mika, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I've got 25 years of business leadership. Now I could go and, burn incense and chant on top of mountains, but I've got other gifts and tools that I can do too, And so, So
if I could put my hand on my heart and honestly say, coaching has never taken off. If I could put my hand on my heart and say, yes, I gave 100%, I would be lying. Because actually, if I look at it, I have dabbled. I have thought that I was doing more, but I haven't been. And that I didn't really acknowledge until yesterday when I went out for tea with my son, who said, control the controllables, which this morning to me came to turn up for the turn-upables. And it's really easy to say, well, I don't know that the universe wanted me to be a coach, because otherwise it didn't help me. And I think that's probably a really easy get out. A really comfortable get out. Well, the universe didn't want me to be. It should have given me a hand.
And you and I both know through our time with Jules how Jules didn't press Pressfield's books on me as much as my TED Talk coach did. And I had to learn to quit quitting on myself. And somewhere between being a commitment junkie and quitting on myself is that place of achievable success. It's that doing the work rather than thinking about what the work would look like or what it would feel like in its completion. Because I would lose myself. When I drew a picture in my CTI this time around, where am I now? Sitting at my desk thinking about what I want to do. Where do I want to go? Actually into execution. And I gave the incubator of preparing for my mother's funeral. And by the way, I was in execution mode the whole way. It amazed me, my level of effortless participation to completion. Effortless participation through completion. I picked all the readings. I typed up all the scriptures. I picked the songs. I did the slideshow. I found the music. I put out, what's that?
You were doing it from love, though.
All of it. But here's the thing.
Your line of love it into being.
Yes.
Was just, we don't do that. I don't do that. I think it into being as opposed to loving it into being.
Well, and love it. But the thing is, Georgia, here's the thing that, in AA, we have this thing where we will see how our experience will benefit others. And that feeling of uselessness will slip away. When I started doing slideshows and productions on the computer, it took me hours of overthinking. How do I do this? When I did, and this was years ago. Now I'm at the position where it's 3 clicks away from YouTube. Get the movie in, get the thing in, down, export it, send it to YouTube, upload. Here, guys, here's the video for Mom's service. And I'm just like, whoa, it took the awkwardness to come to the excellence. Excellence didn't happen without the awkwardness. And that's where I'm really, as an adult, that's the new soft spot, to be able to be awkward so that I can lean into the excellence without quitting. My whole thing to the TED Talk is like my year of living dangerously, because somebody told me that I'd be dangerous if I was organized. And I thought to myself, I want to be dangerous. I'll do what it takes. I want to be dangerous. So, yeah, you are dangerous, Georgia. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're getting that ice water. Anybody that can do that, I'm scared of you.
I don't care about being dangerous. I just want to be brave.
Yeah. Well, too, and you talked about coaching, and I always go back to and I love Michael for this too, Michael Neal, of course, you guys know, but, just go do it. It doesn't matter. Go sit in a cafe, do it for free, do this, just do it. And the more you do it, it will keep coming, because we just get more and more comfortable with it. We develop, it's our own unique way. People then start to tell other people, I had this great conversation with this, and it's so that's when I would love it and say, yes, it's that's one of the reasons I got onto Heartfelt Presence, because I wanted to do it more. I just wanted to be in it. And, there's all these things out there of get your high-end clients and get this. And it's okay, well, if that happens, that's cool. But really, I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And, of course, I want to be able to also bring in income, but that can build in its own way. Just like when I started doing astrology, I did it, I just did it for friends. And then I did it for, $50. And then I did it for $100, whatever. It just built, but it was years. It's not, but first I just did it because I had a love for it and because it helped me. I learned a lot about myself by studying my own chart for years. Before I even looked at anybody else's, like I just started seeing the synchronicities, connecting the dots. And so anyway, I just think that when we just get out there and do it because we love it in whatever way, be in just the creativity of however we do it.
Love that. I love that. Hey, can one of the intentions I'd love for and insights, if any of you have anything to share with me, because I'm confused about it right now. But as I was at my business meeting this morning, I got this huge in my heart about how I hate being told what to do. That's my first thing, right? It's oh God, I hate them. And it is. And as things were unfolding, because this was a corporate meeting and all the men were telling us what our goals are, what's to be expected. Just very 90s. If you were in the business in the 90s, this was it. IBM without it, but we're doing real estate. Toughen up, only the strong, 110% all the time, no matter what. And up came this thing, because part of my gene keys. I love, but I'm just kind of wishy-washy that way. Anyway, no excuses. But anyway, part of it is I don't like hierarchies. I don't. And I will sing a song that makes you think I'm doing this, but because I know what you want to hear from me, but I am not I can't do this hierarchy anymore. And it's not, and again, that came on the newfound thing of being with my family, is it doesn't make me wrong. I used to think there's something wrong with me because I can't do hierarchy. Like you're just not playing by the rules good enough. You're just not concentrating enough. You're just too stubborn, right? But I want to break out into the world again of an independent contractor. And I want to trust myself enough to create new. And that's just what I want to say. I'm hanging on to it because it's $10,000 a month with all the medical and dental benefits. And I'm a single woman. And it's like, it would be stupid if I give up that. And now I feel like I'm not being true to stay in it. That's it. So just if there's any insights or anything you want to share with me ever, that's me in the rawest form right now.
I don't know that I like hierarchy. Go on, Jasmine.
I'm just like, what comes to mind is a preference is just a thought. Like, I don't want to say just a thought. I'm going to say is thought. Preference is thought. So, you may not like it, but who fucking cares? It's giving you $10,000 a month with all of the benefits that you're getting. And if they're telling you that you need to do and what you need to do, and that's your job, then that's your job. Whether you like it or not, doesn't matter. I don't like being fat. I'm fat. The preference, you know what I mean? Like our preference doesn't have to guide our actions. Right? It could just be, can't hear you.
Yes, and then there's the intuitive rub on the inside. There's just that sense of intuition. So go on. I'm loving this conversation. So
all I'm saying is if you have the desire to become, independent, go do your independent. Don't do it because you don't like the hierarchy. You're doing it because you would love to do that. Just go do it. It has nothing to do with the hierarchy. There's going to be hierarchy everywhere. We live in the world of form. There's hierarchy everywhere. That's the world of living this life, being humans. We've got these people that work like that. Well, I don't work like that. When I was at a job before this one here, all the employees were like, how could you tell that to the boss? I'm like, what do you mean? How could I tell that to the boss? You don't say that to the boss. He's the boss. I'm going to tell him whatever I freaking want to tell the boss. Like if I have something to say, I don't care about the hierarchy. I'm going to say what I need to say. But if you want to go on your own, go on your own. Then see, it's not the hierarchy. Then it's maybe the security. If it's the security, then okay, it's the security. Then you make that choice. But your preference.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I don't know anything. Really. I'm just telling you my thought.
You sound pretty wise to me.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
We can't hear you, Mika.
Yes, I muted myself because of Wolf was barking at the door. Yeah, it's like, I know for me, I'm finding my way, you know, kind of riding the middle, like I'm sort of growing and doing where my passion is. But I'm also like working 2 afternoons a week at another job so that it's not enough money to live off of, but it's giving me a paycheck to pay for some things. You know, I have Social Security coming in that pays for rent. Like, so I'm piecing it together with different things. And that's allowing me this freedom to have time to work on my thing, but still have some money coming in that's a regular paycheck. But I also found that, like, I picked that thing to do. I put it out there that I wanted this thing that wasn't going to take my mental time. It wasn't going to be something I had to think about. It's like a Zen physical thing that I'm doing that's easy. So I still have that mental space for my thing. So there's a way to kind of create a both and potentially.
I love that. I love that right in the middle, as well as it's only a preference. I mean, I even felt the weight go down. You know, it's like, oh, wait a minute. This is a feeling connected to a thought that they're wrong and I'm right, trying to justify an action that nobody's asking me to take yet. So It's like, okay, right in the middle. Okay. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know a lot about Gene Keys, but I know my Gene Key. I know a little bit about human design. I started at human design and then went to Gene Keys. So just saying.
I love it. I love it.
The one thing that I would say, Kathy, is if you are thinking of doing this, plan it. I mean, if you're gonna have to downsize, you're good. Like there's like, this is just an experience thing, you know. Like I remember when I quit my job. Okay, so I quit a little earlier than you, you know. Like when I quit in my 30s, right? So, but in my 30s, I had the insurance, I had the good job, I was traveling, I had 3 weeks vacation paid. You know, I had it all, and then I quit, and then it was kind of like, okay, well. No, you got to put your income tax aside on your own. No, your vacations are not paid, girl. No insurance. No, you know, like all of these things go away. I didn't plan it. I was like, fuck this. I wasn't put in this world to live like this. I'm just saying, bye. You know, so that's what I did, right? Don't let yourself, that was pre-3 principles. Don't let yourself go there.
And you know, I kind of did my version. I didn't have insurance. They didn't provide insurance, but I had a good paying job because I was gallery director for a gallery in Soho, New York. And it was very popular, still is. So the sales, I got great commissions. And right before I hit 60, I gave it all up and moved out here to Northern California with no promises, no guarantees, and, you know, and I had no retirement. I hadn't even planned for that and still just came out here and said, I'm going to do this thing. I had a friend of mine gave me a place to stay and it was going to pay me to do a little work, but it was nothing compared to what I had in New York, and just winged it. But it was from here, when I moved here, and I couldn't, like, the spirits were just coming through, you know, through different ways and saying, like, we're glad you're here. This is good. You know, it's like, I was getting that message. And it was from here that I started, I came across 3 principles, that I've, decided to be a coach, that I'm, developing who I am now, what I want to do now at this point in my life. And so, yeah, it can happen at any point. You just,
Yeah.
just do it, as Nike says.
I've got to go and cook some dinner before they eat their fingers.
Oh,
Share your wisdom before you go, or any insights, and then, I know that this is more than, I jumped in late and started off on this.
Hierarchy, as Jasmine says, is just about our human experience. And it can seem really easy to say, look behind what they are. But if we're looking actually as to what they are, what they're doing is irrelevant, because we're in a different space inside.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. That I really feel talked. I knew that I was in too flustered of a place, like you said, Jasmine, to make any decisions. The death of my mom, I almost feel like a newcomer in all of this, the rawness of it. Like, you guys need to behave better because I don't feel happy. It's like, so you guys need to quit being such assholes because I don't feel good. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. So
Lots and lots and lots of love.
Love, Georgia. See you soon.
This was a great call. I really thank you. I was on another call that was like, how to get coaching clients something. Somebody sent this thing to me. It was like a free thing, and it was 2 hours long, and I was on it for like the first hour, sort of half listening, and because it wasn't really, fully, it's just like one of those conversations.
Yeah, the how to, or just like.
Yeah, but I was just like, okay, I don't have anything else to do at 9 a.m. I'll just start to listen to my coffee. But then when I saw that you guys were coming, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get off of that.
I know. I love it. Hey,
thanks, guys.
Mika, where do you live?
I'm in Grass Valley, California.
Okay. I'm in San Francisco and Santa Rosa, so.
Oh, okay. So you know where Grass Valley is?
I do. Beautiful place up there. Beautiful.
So you guys could definitely go watch the stars together, right?
Oh, yeah. Stargazing can be a big deal. Yeah, I love that. Okay, thank you. And then, Jasmine, I'll reach out to you soon, maybe next week before I go to New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah, Jasmine, well, I'm going to touch base with you also, like maybe in the next couple of weeks. I think we need to have a powwow about like just hand-holding for writing content.
I'm up for powwows.
Okay.
Take care, ladies.
Bye.
Oh, and I missed you Saturday, by the way.
Yes. Okay. This Saturday. Bye.
Okay. Bye.